Hello everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Ukraine This Week with me, Don Arleth. We're here in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, and of course we have a monumental anniversary coming up on Monday. That is the third year since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It's been a whirlwind week here in the country and of course in the United States concerning all these peace talks. So let's go ahead and start out traditionally with the most important stories from this week.
U.S. President Donald Trump sparked controversy by blaming Ukraine for the ongoing war and dismissing criticism over Kyiv's exclusion from U.S.-Russia negotiations in Saudi Arabia. Speaking from his Mar-a-Lago estate, Trump responded to outrage from European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who were not invited to the talks.
And I think I have the power to end this war. And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
Trump has also claimed that Zelensky's approval rating were at an all-time low at 4%, prompting the Ukrainian president to correct him.
We have seen this disinformation, and we understand that it comes from Russia. We understand that, and we have evidence that these numbers are being discussed between America and Russia. We have great respect for President Trump as the leader of the people who elected him. We have great respect for the American people who constantly support us. But unfortunately, they live in this disinformation space.
These words, however, were not welcomed warmly by Trump, to say the least.
He refuses to have elections, it's very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he was good at was playing Biden like a fiddle, a dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast, or he's not going to have a country left.
Trump refers to the fact that due to the introduction of martial law in Ukraine, Zelensky's term has been prolonged.
We can't have elections now physically. It's impossible. That's impossible to organize elections in Ukraine today in current circumstances. So, do we need to have elections in Ukraine? Definitely. But after we will have peace in Ukraine and after we will have security guarantees that Russians will not attack us the day when we will go to polling stations. That is very important.
In Zelensky's view, Trump's envisioned end to the war looks a lot like what Russia has been asking for. Members of Trump's administration have already ruled out NATO membership for Kyiv and said U.S. troops would not help guarantee Ukraine's safety when the war ends. Amid heightened tensions between Kyiv and Washington, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with Keith Kellogg, U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy for Ukraine. Arriving in Kyiv, Kellogg was optimistic about the upcoming talks.
Some talks. We had a chance to see President Zelensky and his team down in Munich. So I think this is going to be a continuation. Looking forward to doing it. Appreciate you all being out here.
Following the meeting, Zelensky stated that Ukraine was prepared for a, quote, strong beneficial agreement with the U.S. on investment and security. However, a planned press briefing was cancelled at Washington's request.
General Kellogg, our talks restore hope. We need strong agreements with America, agreements that will really work. I gave instructions to work fast and very much even-handedly. Economic interests and security interests should always go hand in hand, and the details of the agreement are important. The better the details are drafted, the better the result.
Kellogg's visit came amid an escalating rift between Trump and Zelensky. According to the Kyiv Post, Kellogg's role in Trump's broader peace efforts remains uncertain, with reports suggesting he may have been sidelined due to his pro-Ukraine stance. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has signed a decree approving National Security and Defense Council sanctions against former President Petro Poroshenko and 4 prominent oligarchs. The sanctions target Ihor Kolomoisky, who is currently in pretrial detention, Gennady Bogolyubov, Kostiantyn Zhevago, and Viktor Medvedchuk, all of whom are outside Ukraine. The restrictions include asset freezes, a ban on transferring capital abroad, and limitations on defense-related purchases. Ukraine's security service justified the sanctions, citing threats to national security, territorial integrity, and sovereignty.
We are defending our state and restoring justice. Everyone who undermined Ukraine's national security and helped Russia, every one of them must be held accountable.
Poroshenko condemned the move as unconstitutional and politically motivated, escalating tensions between the government and the opposition and dealing a blow to the country's unity.
The National Security and Defense Council has just passed an unconstitutional, politically motivated decision to introduce absolutely illegal sanctions against me, Petro Poroshenko, as the leader of the opposition and fifth president. There are many accomplices in this crime. The whole team of Zelensky, the cabinet of ministers, which banned on an absurd submission members of the National Security and Defense Council. But there's a single client, performer and subscriber, Zelensky personally.
Poroshenko has faced multiple legal challenges since Zelensky's 2019 election victory. In December 2021, Ukraine's security service charged him with treason, accusing him of working with former pro-Kremlin lawmaker Viktor Medvedchuk to disrupt coal imports from South Africa in favor of supplies from Russian-occupied Donbass. Since then, more than 20 criminal cases have been opened against the former president. His shares in 19 enterprises were seized, and companies linked to him received multi-million-dollar fines from Ukraine's anti-monopoly committee. Over the past few days, Russian forces have intensified attacks across Ukraine, resulting in multiple civilian casualties and widespread damage. On February 19th and 20th, a massive overnight assault involved 167 Shahed-type drones and 2 Iskander-M ballistic missiles, targeting various regions, killing at least 1 civilian and injuring 14, including 2 children. In Odessa, a drone strike on energy infrastructure injured 4 people, including a child, and left 160,000 residents without heat or power. Another strike in Odessa on February 20th killed 1 person and injured 2 when a drone hit a residential building. Ukrainian air defenses downed 106 drones in one night, mitigating some damage, but falling debris and direct hits continue to devastate civilian areas. A series of Ukrainian drone attacks have struck key Russian oil facilities in recent days, escalating efforts to disrupt Moscow's energy infrastructure. On February 19th, drones attacked the Syzran oil refinery in Russia's Samara region, approximately 700 kilometers from the Ukraine border, sparking a significant blaze. Local residents reported hearing explosions, with social media videos showing flames engulfing the Rosneft-owned facility. The refinery, operational since 1942, processes 8.9 million tons of oil annually, producing fuel, aviation kerosene and bitumen, vital to Russia's war effort. Days earlier, on February 17th, a massive drone assault hit the Ilsky oil refinery in Russia's Krasnodar Krai, igniting a large fire. The regional governor described the attack as massive, noting damage to residential areas but omitting mention of the refinery. The Ilsky facility, with a capacity of 6.6 million tons per year, has been repeatedly targeted, including a strike in 2024 that damaged a $50 million refining unit. In a simultaneous operation, Ukrainian drones struck the Kropotkinskaya oil pumping station in Krasnodar Krai, the largest in the Caspian Pipeline Consortium. A source from Ukraine's security service stated it forced the station, crucial for oil shipments from Kazakhstan, to halt operations. The SBU has claimed responsibility for these precision strikes, emphasizing the role in crippling Russia's war machine by targeting fuel and revenue sources.
Today we're at the Defense Techs Expo here in Kyiv, and of course this is the place where they showcase all the latest innovations for the Ukrainian armed forces. You've got hundreds of companies, thousands of engineers behind a lot of these ideas and projects, some of which are already being used on the battlefield. The height of innovation here in Ukraine, and something that could probably be used in many other countries around the world. One thing in particular we're seeing here is every kind of drone you could imagine that Ukraine is successfully employing on the battlefield, something that they've developed since the full-scale invasion, and that is providing key systems for Ukrainian defense along the over 1,000 kilometers of front lines.
The idea was actually to build the innovation lab, innovation place, where all the companies making any kind of defense tech can come to have and to give actually them any kind of support they might need.
Just a few minutes ago, we spoke with Max, who has come up with autonomous turrets that can be remotely controlled. This saves the lives of defenders along the front lines, and well, he self-financed the project. Take a listen.
Produced till now near 100 turrets, and they all are delivered to Ukraine military forces, and they effectively do it works.
Now, last year, the Ukrainian government had funded $40 million or so to get a lot of these projects off the ground, mainly through grants and things of that nature, but also through procurement as well. Now, this year, it is expected that Ukraine will up that figure to $100 million. And of course, investors from all over the world are coming to be angel investors in small tech startups just like these. Reporting from Kyiv, Don Arleth, TVP World. This week, there was a special panel of the Kyiv Security Forum, and of course, we got to go there and talk with the former Prime Minister of Ukraine from the years 2014 to 2016, Arseniy Yatsenyuk. I got to ask him exactly what he would do if he was in President Zelensky's shoes. Okay, under the current circumstances with the Special Envoy General Kellogg coming here to the country, and now how do you think the administration should proceed with the United States and everything that's going on with all this political chaos?
You mean Ukrainian administration or the US administration? There are a number of pillars. Let me start with the first one. Let's put aside all emotions. And let's speak out who is the war criminal. Putin is a war criminal, he is a dictator. Zelensky is a legitimate president. The time will come when Ukraine is to hold free and fair elections, but the conditions have to be met only in 6 months after a comprehensive, full and fair peace agreement that has to be reached. The second issue, related to this so-called mineral deal, okay? I believe that Ukraine is to sign MOU with the US administration as quick as possible, just to show that we are willing to get US investments. But it takes time to prepare a comprehensive deal with the US administration over how to invest into the Ukrainian raw materials. And this kind of deal has to be intertwined with the security guarantees from the US. The third issue that we need to ask our European friends, and I've had some rumors that the entire European Commission is to participate in the 24th of February events. So we need to kindly request or even to urge our European friends to pass a number of resolutions in the European Parliament and in the European Commission, together with the national governments. Everyone is to realize that we need to increase military expenditures, period. It's crystal clear. So let's lift all these budgetary restrictions. Let's pass the decision to increase procurements of the Russian against the Russia of US-made ammo. Let's impose secondary sanctions on the side of the EU, and let's seize and liquidate 300 billion of Russian assets. And in this case, we're going to get an upper hand in talks with the US administration, saying that, look, Mr. President, we've done our job. We've increased expenditures. We are ready to buy your weaponry. We liquidated the Russian assets. You have to do the same. And we urge you, we kindly request you, Mr. President, to provide a supplement for Ukrainian military, a security aid package, to impose secondary sanctions, and to launch a land lease for the Ukrainian state. So it's a chess game, sir. It is a chess game, okay? And we are good players, I hope.
Living in Kyiv this week, of course, every single night Russia has sent hundreds of drones on the country, many of them targeting the city of Kyiv. We were constantly woken up by all the air defenses working around the city. Due to all the political chaos and mudslinging between Kyiv and Washington, we're going to do something different this week. We went to the Defense Tech Forum and Expo to see the latest weapons being utilized by Ukrainian armed forces and produced right here in Ukraine. We spoke with the CEO of Brave One, which coordinates many of the investments, the cooperation with the government, and of course connects many of these companies together so that they can produce more for the armed forces of Ukraine. Take a look. Is finding money for some of these projects or some of these systems has it been difficult? Or do you think that now is going to be somewhat of a breakthrough moment and a lot of money will come out for the production?
So as for their money, we have a few tracks. First of all, we have grants. These are state money. Last year we've granted for more than $30 million and we issued more than 400 grants. It was 10, 25, 50, 100 and even $200,000 for the defense tech companies. They are unconvertible grants just to seed and to develop our companies and their solutions and to support them in that. On the other hand, as a Brave One, we are entry point for cooperation with investors and investments. Last year, through the platform of Brave One, more than $40 million of investments were attracted by the companies. For this year, we have the plan for $100 million, and we see how fast the number of the investors looking how to invest in Ukraine is growing. And again, yes, definitely they are mostly angel investors coming from all over the world. We have more than 35 countries within portfolio of investors of Brave One, but we see more and more people and more funds to establish and willing to come and to invest in Ukrainian defense tech. And what else? Again, we are serving as a one entry point for cooperation with international companies. We are really happy to support them with the testing opportunities here in Ukraine, within all testing grounds or real battlefield. We know who are the best end consumers of these solutions and who are the best units to try it and to test it. And all the time we are giving like real feedback from the front line. And on the other hand, we are more than interested in bringing here some technologies or components to establish joint R&Ds or joint ventures, again to be more and more creative and innovative and developing new products.
Due to Ukraine's experience with the war lasting as long as it has, and especially since the full-scale invasion, Europe is looking to spend much more on its own defense after we've seen the latest political developments. Are there some areas you think that Europe could learn from Ukraine and what it's gone through over the last couple of years that would really be helpful? Because obviously Ukraine has a lot of experience where Europe doesn't.
So actually I think that the main things that we are learning to be very cost efficient. So to find out the cheap solutions, to be cheap and efficient, and sometimes you don't need to make like some special with the hardware, but you just can print it with a 3D printer. And that is like one of the cases. Or to scale, again, you don't need, for example, to build your own production, but you could find the partner with the manufacturing, and you can scale up your manufacturing with the business or with the partner. So I think that, and the third one thing, it's totally being fast and being very open for the integration. And we know, again, now the stories even from all over the world, then sometimes companies who are competitors in the real life, they start to do something together, and how is like really something new and really something efficient is born.
And that's all the time we have on this edition of Ukraine This Week. I'm going to leave you now with some scenes, a memorial here in the capital for all of those who paid the ultimate price in this horrible war in the last 3 years, the anniversary of which is coming up on Monday.